Welcome back to the Literally First Class podcast. I love recording days. It's so much fun. I actually get to put my hair and makeup on. And actually, my daughter this morning, I woke up. She gives me a hug. She says, "Good morning." And she goes, "Your hair's a mess." I'm like, that's humbling. It actually wasn't that bad. I will admittedly say that. It was not terrible. But man, 9-year-old honesty. Yeah, we are entering into those years. My son is graduating 5th grade next week, headed into middle school, and it's such a surreal time as a mom because I'm like, "Man, I can remember when I was in 5th grade, when I moved into middle school." It's just wild. Anyway, today we're diving into good marketing and interesting marketing, and I wanna tell you what our marketing strategy has been as of late. So, our marketing strategy has been when we see everybody zigging, we zag. So we see most people in the coaching and consulting space or service based marketing and service. They are delivering products that have 18,000 fucking value adds. It's like, here's 87 modules, here's 19 support calls, here is a year-long contract, and there's this, and there's this, and there's worksheets, and there's all that. And we have that. Like, we actually have a training academy called Apex. It's our Leadership Mastery Academy, which is amazing. And it has a somatic success certification. If you want to enhance your leadership, it's got the deep dive hot seat coaching, the frequent touch points every week. But not everyone wants that. Let's say they've done that with me or they've done one on one. Like, what's next? Like, where are we going after this? But also, a lot of people that are growth minded, that are also very successful founders and entrepreneurs, are just busy, right? They have a very full calendar. Their time becomes their most valuable asset, not money, because like they already trust themselves to make money, right? You already know this. You trust yourself to make money, so your most valuable asset is going to be your time. You don't want another thing to put on your calendar. You don't want to log into modules. And in fact, you probably never will. You're not going to utilize all of those support calls. You're not going to download the worksheets. Therefore, you're not going to complete the worksheets, right? You are, and it's not because you're not growth minded. It's because you're prioritizing what needs to happen, which is revenue driven activities, closing sales, making money to pay your team, your overhead, and continue the lifestyle that you have built for yourself. That is going to be priority number one, which makes sense. So when I say that everyone is zigging and like trying to prove their value and discount their prices, it's like we're going to zag. So we actually have a brand new program. I don't even want to say that it's a program because it isn't all the bells and whistles. Like, it's the anti everything that you know. It's not going to have modules. You're not going to have all of these extra support calls. You're literally going to come in and get a single tune up every single month. That's it. Literally that simple. So I'm not going to reveal it yet. But once we do, you're going to be the first to know. Don't worry. And we'll put that link in our show notes, or you can follow me on socials at I am Keri Ford, Keri, on Instagram or on Facebook, where we'll be, putting that link. It's not ready yet, but we are so close. We're this close. And so I'm not going to reveal any details, but all I can tell you is it's like nothing that you've ever heard of. Nobody's doing this. And the reason is because I chose intentionally to do something very different, very risque, and very, very counterintuitive to what most people are doing, which is what I think makes it so brilliant. My master coach is like, "Oh my gosh, this idea is insane. I cannot wait." So that brings me to telling you a story about good marketing, right? Good marketing is honest. In fact, it's so honest that it might put to bed, potential objections. So when I'm working with somebody that, has a new business, new company, new offer, new service that they're offering, we actually list out all of the potential objections. So just write them all out, right? So just write down, as you think about this new idea that you have, write down all the potential objections that you think you might receive. And the reason we do that is because we can turn it into marketing. So before you make up a story about why you think someone is not going to invest in that product, or before they ask a question about it, you can speak to it before they even bring it up. So when I was driving here actually to the podcast studio, there's like this big, I don't even know what it's called. I guess you call it like a rock yard, right? And so there's marble countertops that they sell. That's like what they sell. And on the big sign, this is so brilliant. On the big sign, it says free pollen with marble countertop. And the reason that's so brilliant is because, first of all, it gets my attention, Like, those two things in my brain don't go together. Pollen and countertops don't normally come together. And then you imagine the type of person that's shopping for a marble countertop probably has more money, right? Looking to invest in quality materials for their house, likely building a new house. And so, you know, they might be a little bit more expectant of a specific experience in the rock yard, in the countertop yard, whatever the fuck it's called. And so before this client, the potential, client complains about the countertops being dirty and there being pollen all over, this company instead decided to use that potential objection as an opportunity. And they took that and they made it an ad. And also, they put to bed any potential qualms that this client or customer has, right? Which is like, we told you, free pollen with your countertop. We're going to take this, we're going to make a joke out of it. We're going to presence the idea and the knowing that this is happening. It is pollen season in Georgia. And if you have lived in Georgia or been through Georgia during pollen season, it's no joke. I didn't have allergies till I lived here. And there's like a thick yellow coating on everything. It's like as soon as you wash your car, you're seeing particles settle back on to the like hood of your car. It is that fast and it's disgusting. And anyone that lives here knows that. Um, so I just thought that was so brilliant, free pollen with countertop. Another great marketing story is my son, my son and my daughter. This was probably 3 or 4 months ago. Those of you that read the newsletter, that you're subscribed, you saw that we did like the chocolate chip cookies and crypto newsletter. And then I wrote out a step-by-step of how we help them create a 48-hour, like it was really a 24-hour cookie business. And we showed them that you can have an idea and that you can take that idea to production and create income. And then we walked them through like all the ways in which they had to like manage the money, right? They had to split the money as partners. They each took on a role within the company. There was the cost of, all of the upfront expenses, and then there's like their profit margin. So we walked them through all of that in the beginning. And it was a really cool lesson. But my son, and I didn't tell him to do this, my son was such a natural at selling, which is in that he wasn't really selling, right? The best sales is when we're not selling, we're just being honest. And so when we took the cookies out of the oven, we let them cool off, and then we packaged them up in, I think it was 2 and 4 packs, and then they were selling them based on that. And so we did the best we could with the time we had, right? We let them cool off. And he came home after they sold out all of the cookies. And he goes, yeah, I noticed that when I pulled one of the bags out of the basket, that there was like chocolate smeared all over inside the Ziploc bag. And so I told the neighbor that was opening the bag, like, oh, well, we just took these out of the oven, which is why there's chocolate. These are fresh baked and they're still warm. And that's why there's a little bit of chocolate inside the Ziploc bag. So rather than like make it a mess, right? Say that it's a mess or make up a story in his head or have someone, bring up like, oh, these are just sloppy and a mess. It was like, oh, these are fresh baked warm cookies out of the oven. And that actually sold the cookies faster. And I just thought, oh my God, that's so brilliant. So sometimes the best marketing that we have is the most honest marketing, which is like what makes us us, what makes you and your personal brand you, how you do things. Like rather than make it wrong and try and follow somebody else's blueprint for success, leaning into and doubling down on the things that you already do naturally very well and making that your marketing shtick, if you will, like your whole marketing pitch. It's not a pitch. It's just a brand truth. And when I studied advertising in college, I actually have a 4-year degree and a bachelor in fine arts. I studied as an art director and became in advertising design and studied and became a creative director in New York City. And one of the first brands I worked on was a brand under Coca-Cola. And they launched in Singapore, Oslo, and Toronto. It wasn't in the US yet, but I've worked on a lot of brands from the ground up. Brands you've, hadn't heard of and now, have. I've worked on the brand launch of Heineken Premium Light. Yeah, just really cool brands, literally from the ground up. And it's one of my favorite things because my zone of genius is taking an idea and bringing it into production. I can just see the end result. I can visualize things, but also I can really learn how to tell the brand truth story. And one of the brands that taught me how to do this was Belvedere Vodka. Now, obviously, that's a well-established brand. When I came into Berlin Cameron United, it was an ad agency back in the day. I think they're called like Berlin United now or something, which is not uncommon where like agencies kind of merge or buy each other. Anyway, I was an intern at first, and then I went on to work post grad for a few months as I was, nailing down my first full-time job. And so it was so interesting because did you know that in a blindfolded taste test with focus groups, that Smirnoff vodka actually outranks Belvedere vodka? And you might be thinking, like, how is that? How is that so? Because in my mind, Belvedere vodka is so much fancier. It's so much higher level. It's so much better quality. But that is the art of brand positioning, right? It's where luxury brands are born. It's where brands have a brand truth, right? Popov will never be Belvedere vodka. Smirnoff will never be Belvedere vodka because of the way that it has been positioned in the market as a brand. But also there is brand truth. And we have to acknowledge what is true about the brand in the minds of people. And so really serving and doing some research with some of your best clients that have been really happy with your services, or even asking them, hey, what would you want more of? What would you want less of? And what would you do differently if you were to join that program or join my coaching or join my service or buy this offer now? And the reason that's important is because market relevancy changes. And in 2025, and I would say this even started in 2022, massive shifts have happened, but especially in 2025 with the introduction and the adoption of AI. And that's why I've really done such a deep dive and a deep study into what I see most people doing. And we've chosen a different route. Not to say we don't leverage AI, but we're not using AI the way most people are. The way most people are using AI is they're taking someone else's words or someone else's offer or someone else's like brand position, and they're saying like this, but like make it about what I do. And then the problem is it sounds like fucking everybody else. I'm not interested in sounding like everybody else. In fact, it's super frustrating as a trauma trained practitioner and somatic leader in the space where I serve that 1% woman to have people literally not just copy paste my words, but like take something and make it sound like they're actually trained and qualified to do the same work when they're not. Like I have people that say, oh, somatic success, I'm a somatic success coach. And I'm like, no, you're not. You haven't gone through my program. I literally created that framework 3 years ago. So anyway, and it's like one of my biggest pet peeves is being copied. Like, and it just comes honestly with the territory of being a leader and being somebody that trailblazes new ways of doing things, that zags when everyone else is zigging. People look at that and say, oh, like that must be the right way to do it. And it's the thing that continues to have us stand out. So I would encourage you to find whatever that is for you. So if everyone's using AI to sound like each other, do something different. Use AI in a different way. Make it interesting because good ideas aren't just great, they're interesting. They create curiosity in the market. They're honest, right? They're on the pulse of what's happening right now in this market, what's relevant now. And so go back and interview some of your best clients. Again, those questions are what do you want more of? What do you want less of? And what would you do different now? What would you invest in that would be different now if you were to come back into my world, right? If they're an alumni. And so that's going to be really important because what's relevant now is different. What is valued now, I'll say it a different way. What is valued now is different than what was valued in 2022. So right now, I have had so many conversations with current clients, with potential clients, with alumni, and here's what they're all telling me. I am back in the trenches with my team. I'm running a lean team because overhead is higher than it ever has been before because the cost of things has gone up, right? Cost of running a digital platform, online business owners, this, everything's gone up. Cost of retaining team, right? Investing in things ahead and then seeing revenue slow down. So there's still revenue and it's still at a higher level, but it's like, ooh, that there's a squeeze there. Like it's a little bit tight and time is maxed and cash flow is tight. That makes it really challenging. So I'm like, I'm listening to you. And so with that, is exactly where this next new thing that we're launching has been born. And I cannot wait for you to join me in that. So if you want details on that, you can just shoot me a DM because we don't have the link yet. Shoot me the DM reset and I will know that you're interested. And then when we unveil that to the public and we open it up to everybody, I'll send you the link so that you can get in. But I hope that this was valuable. Remember to zag when everyone else is zigging. Don't be afraid to leverage AI, but do it differently. Good marketing is interesting and honest. And if you can make a list of any potential objections you think that people might have, that can actually be a really great jump off point for marketing. That, again, goes back to being interesting and honest. All right, I'll see you on the next episode.